Commander Velnus stared at the holographic display with all three of his eyes. The blue planet below them had been marked as forbidden territory for over 200 cycles. Earth. A Class 1, 2, Death World. The kind of place where everything evolved to kill everything else. Sir, we have movement. Thermach clicked his mandibles together nervously. The insectoid science officer pointed at a small blip leaving the planet's atmosphere. A ship. Primitive design, but functional. Velnus leaned forward in his command chair. Impossible. The reports said they barely achieved orbital flight 50 cycles ago. They shouldn't have interstellar capability yet. Yet here they are. Diplomat Irix croaked from his station. His amphibian skin flickered between green and yellow. A sign of worry. Should we alert the council? Irix. End quote. Not yet. Let's observe. That's our mission here. The observation vessel Harmonious Dawn had been watching Earth for months now. The Galactic Council needed to know if these humans were ready for contact. So far, the answer seemed to be no. They were violent, territorial, and constantly fighting each other. But they were also curious and rapidly advancing. Too rapidly, some council members feared. Velnus watched the human ship accelerate away from their planet. It was ugly compared to council vessels. All sharp angles and excessive thrusters. Functional. Not elegant. Very much like the beings who built it. Where are they going? He asked. Thermach worked his console. Calculating. Sir, they're heading toward the Proxima system. That's 2 light-years away. Their ship can't possibly... Velnus stopped. The readings showed the human vessel entering some kind of faster-than-light state. Crude and energy-wasteful, but it worked. Remarkable. Irix's skin turned fully yellow. Commander, there's a problem. The Meridian Hope Colony Station in Proxima is in distress. A meteor strike 3 hours ago. The station is falling apart. Velnus felt his blood run cold. How many civilians? 300. Mostly Feli's people and other fragile species. Rescue ships won't arrive for another 8 hours. They all understood what that meant. The station would be debris in 6 hours. Everyone aboard would die. It was a tragedy, but space was dangerous. They had all accepted that risk. The human ship is accelerating, Thermach announced. They're heading directly toward the disaster zone. What? Velnus pulled up the trajectory. The insect was right. Do they not understand the danger? That area is full of radiation and debris. Even our shielded vessels would struggle. Maybe they received the distress call, Irix suggested. Maybe they think they can help. Help? Velnus couldn't believe it. They're going to kill themselves. Their ship isn't rated for those conditions. They'll be torn apart. On the observation screen, they watched the human vessel push its engines harder. The energy readings were climbing to dangerous levels. Any council ship would have automatic safeties to prevent such recklessness. Should we warn them? Thermach asked. We're not supposed to make contact, Irix reminded them. Council protocols are clear. Velnus wrestled with his conscience. If he broke silence, he would end his career. But if he didn't, he would watch 3 humans fly to their deaths. Stupid, brave, foolish humans who apparently didn't understand their own limitations. Open a channel, he finally decided. Anonymous. Just warn them about the danger. Thermach worked quickly. Channel open. Sir. Unknown vessel. This is. A friend. The zone you are approaching is extremely hazardous. Radiation levels are fatal. Debris field is too dense. You will not survive. Please turn back. They waited. The human ship didn't slow down. If anything, it accelerated more. A voice crackled over the speaker. Male. Young. Determined. Thanks for the warning, friend. But there are 300 people about to die. We can't turn back. Velnus recognized that tone. He had heard it before in soldiers who knew they were marching toward death but went anyway. You don't understand. Your ship cannot survive those conditions. Then I guess we'll have to make it survive. There was a pause. Listen, whoever you are, I appreciate the concern, but this is what we do. Someone needs help. We go. That's the rule. The channel closed. The human ship continued its suicidal approach. That's the rule? Thermok repeated. What kind of rule is that? A Deathworlder rule. Irix said quietly. His skin had turned a respectful blue. They evolved where death was always close. Maybe helping each other was the only way to survive. Velnus watched the display. Inside that small, ugly ship were 3 beings. The manifest they had intercepted earlier told him their names. Captain Taemin, Engineer Hyeri, Security Officer Doyun. 3 humans who should have been safe at home but instead were flying toward almost certain death. Follow them, Velnus ordered. Stay at a safe distance. If they survive, we need to document everything. You think they might actually survive? Thermok sounded doubtful. I don't know. But I think we're about to learn something important about Deathworlders. Velnus settled back in his chair. Something the Council needs to see. The harmonious dawn changed course, trailing the human vessel at a respectful distance. On the screen, the disaster zone grew closer. Radiation warnings flashed. Debris detection systems screamed alerts. Any sane species would have turned back already. The humans flew faster. Sir, they're receiving the distress call from the station now, Thermok reported. Station Commander Feli is begging them to stay away, telling them rescue is hopeless. What's the human response? Captain Taemin says, we're not here to give up. We're here to get you out. Start preparing your people for evacuation. Velnus felt something strange. Was it admiration? Fear? He wasn't sure. He only knew that everything they thought they understood about Deathworlders might be wrong. Record everything, he commanded. The Council must see this. Whatever happens next, the galaxy needs to know what these humans attempted. The 2 ships moved through space. One followed protocol and safety. The other followed something else entirely. Something the Council had never quite understood about those who came from worlds where every day was a fight to survive. They called it courage. They called it duty. They called it simply doing what was right. The humans called it just another day. The Meridian Hope Station was dying. Station Commander Feli could see it in every flashing warning light, every groaning metal support, every terrified face of the civilians huddled in the safe zones. The meteor had torn through 3 decks. Life support was failing. In less than 4 hours, everyone aboard would be dead. She had made peace with it. Her species, the Vern, believed death was simply another journey. But looking at the young ones, the families holding each other, made her wish desperately that rescue was possible. Commander, that human ship is still approaching. Medical officer, Urix reported. His feathers were ruffled with stress. I told them it was suicide. They won't listen. Humans, Feli said softly. She had heard of them. The new species from the quarantined Deathworld. Violent and unpredictable, the report said. Perhaps they don't understand the danger. They understand. They just don't care. On the observation vessel, Velnus watched the human ship enter the debris field. His hearts were beating too fast. This was madness. Beautiful, terrifying madness. Their shields are taking hits, Thermok announced. Energy readings are spiking. They should pull back. But the humans didn't pull back. Captain Taemin flew through the debris like a predator chasing prey. The ship twisted and turned, dodging chunks of metal and rock that would have crushed them. Impossible maneuvers. No computer could calculate that fast. He's flying manually, Irix breathed. No automation. Pure instinct. Deathworlder reflexes, Velnus said. They evolved to dodge predators, fast thinking or death. Inside the human ship, Hyeri's fingers flew over her console. Shields, at 60%. Hull temperature rising. We need to dock in the next 3 minutes, or we'll lose our window. I see it, Taman said calmly. His eyes never left the viewport. Another piece of debris tumbled toward them. He rolled the ship, threading through a gap that shouldn't have existed. Do-yun, Ji-ho, suit up. This is going to be rough. In the cargo bay, Do-yun checked his suit seals one more time. Beside him, Ji-ho was loading medical supplies into portable cases. The young security officer looked at the medical specialist and grinned. Just like training, right? Ji-ho laughed. Training was in a safe environment with instructors ready to save us. This is real. Ji-ho laughed. Yeah. Do-yun's grin widened. Way better. The ship shuddered as Taman brought them alongside the dying station. Explosive decompression was venting atmosphere in 3 locations. The docking ring was damaged. A normal ship would have to attempt multiple tries to align properly. Taman did it in 1. Docking clamps engaged, Hyrie announced. But the seal isn't perfect. There's going to be pressure loss. How much? Enough to kill most species in seconds. Good thing we're not most species. Taman unbuckled from his seat. Sun-hee, you have the bridge. Keep the engines hot. We might need to leave fast. The navigator nodded. Be careful. Captain. These. Careful is for people with time. Taman joined his crew at the airlock. We don't have time. We have 300 lives to save. Let's move. The airlock opened. The pressure difference hit them like a physical blow. But their suits held. They pushed into the station where Feli and Urix were waiting with the first group of civilians. Do-yun saw the fear in their eyes. These were species evolved on gentle worlds. They had never known real danger until today. He softened his voice, made himself less threatening despite his size. We're here to help. Please follow us quickly and calmly. The radiation, Feli said. Your suit readings must be, we know. Do-yun lifted 2 small Vern children, 1 in each arm. Our suits can handle it. We can handle it. Trust us. On the observation vessel, Velnus watched the evacuation with growing amazement. The humans moved through sections of the station that his people would have declared impossible to enter. Radiation levels that would kill a council member in minutes. 0 gravity, with debris flying everywhere. Structural supports collapsing. The humans barely seemed to notice. Ji-ho set up a triage area in the human ship's cargo bay. She worked faster than any council medic Velnus had ever seen. When a support beam collapsed and injured a Vern civilian, she was there in seconds. She stabilized the broken wing, administered painkillers, and moved to the next patient without breaking stride. How are they doing this? Thermac asked. They've been working for 30 minutes without rest. Most species would need breaks. Endurance hunters, Irix said. He had been researching humans since they started watching Earth. On their world, they hunted prey by chasing it, until it collapsed from exhaustion. They can keep going long after other species quit. Do-yun made his 4th trip through the damaged sections. His suit was registering dangerous radiation levels. His oxygen was at 40%. He was carrying 2 more civilians who were too weak to move on their own. A piece of the ceiling tore loose above them. Do-yun saw it falling. He couldn't dodge while carrying the civilians. So he didn't dodge. He took the hit on his shoulder, his suit absorbing most of the impact. Pain shot through his arm. He ignored it, adjusted his grip on the civilians, kept moving. Do-yun, your suit is compromised. Hyerie's voice came through the comm. You need to return now. 2 more trips. There are still people here. Your radiation exposure. I know the risks. I'm making the choice. His voice was firm but not angry. Have Ji-ho ready to scan me when I get back. Velnus felt something twist in his chest. He knows he's being hurt. He's choosing to continue anyway. That's insane, Thermac said. No. Irix's skin had turned a deep, respectful blue. That's courage. True courage. Knowing the cost and paying it anyway. 90 minutes later, all 300 civilians were aboard the human ship. The cargo bay was packed. The corridors were full. Jiho had treated 47 injuries. Doyun had made 7 trips through the radiation zones. Taemin had held the ship steady through explosive decompressions and debris impacts that would have destroyed most vessels. The last person through the airlock was Station Commander Feli. She looked at these 3 humans who had saved everyone. They were exhausted, injured. Their suits were damaged, but they were smiling. "Why?" she asked. "You don't know us. We're not your people. Why risk everything?" Taemin looked surprised by the question. "Because you needed help. That's enough, isn't it?" Before Feli could answer, alarms screamed throughout both ships. Hyri's voice cut through the noise. "Solar flare incoming. Big one. We need to leave now." Taemin ran for the bridge. "Sunhee, get us out of here." "Sir." The FTL drive took damage from the radiation. "It's offline. Then we go on thrusters. Maximum burn. Get us away from the star." On the observation vessel, Velnus saw the danger immediately. The solar flare would hit in 20 minutes. It would fry every electronic system in the area. The human ship, already damaged and overloaded, would become a tomb. "We should help them," Irix said. "We can't. Council protocols." "Forget protocols." The diplomat's skin flashed angry red. "They just saved 300 lives. We can't let them die for it." Velnus looked at his crew. At the humans on the screen, fighting against impossible odds one more time. He thought about protocols and rules and the safe, comfortable galaxy the Council had built. Then he thought about 3 humans who had flown into hell to save strangers. "Prepare to assist," he ordered. "The Council can punish me later." The human ship limped through space on thruster power alone. Inside, 300 rescued civilians filled every available space. The corridors smelled of fear, relief, and too many different species packed together, but everyone was alive. For now, Taemin studied the navigation display with Sunhee. The numbers were not good. The solar flare would hit in 18 minutes. The nearest safe zone was 23 minutes away at their current speed. "We're not going to make it," Sunhee said quietly. "Then we go faster." "Captain, we're already at maximum safe thrust. If we push harder, we could tear the ship apart." Taemin looked at her steadily. "If we don't push harder, we all die anyway. I'd rather die trying than die giving up." In the engine room, Hyeri and young Minho were covered in grease and sweat. They had been working on the FTL drive for an hour. The radiation damage was worse than they thought. Circuits were fried. Coolant lines were cracked. It would take days to repair properly. They had minutes. "We need to bypass the safety limiters," Hyeri said. "Route power directly from the reactor to the drive core." Minho's eyes widened. "That could cause a cascade failure. The whole system could explode." "I know. But it's our only chance." She handed him a tool. "You work on the power routing. I'll handle the coolant system. You, Hyeri, you'll be right next to the reactor. The radiation, I know the risks." She smiled at the young man. "Someone has to do it. Might as well be me." On the harmonious dawn, Velnus was arguing with a holographic projection of Counselor Nethix. The senior official's face was twisted with anger. "You revealed yourself to a quarantined species. This is a massive violation of protocol." "They were about to die," Velnus said firmly. "All of them, including 300 Council civilians they just rescued. That doesn't matter. The rules exist for good reasons. Deathworlders are dangerous, unpredictable. If we help them, if we make contact, we risk everything the Council has built. We risk nothing but our fear." Irix interrupted. The diplomat's skin was flashing between colors rapidly, showing his agitation. "I have watched these humans for hours now. Yes, they are strong. Yes, they are capable of violence. But they used that strength to save, not destroy. They risked everything for strangers. Nethix's expression hardened. Violence is violence. It doesn't matter what they use it for today. Tomorrow, they could use it against us. Or they could use it to protect us, Thermak added. The science officer pulled up data on his screen. Counselor, look at these readings. The humans have been working for 36 hours without sleep. Most council species would have collapsed after 12. Their endurance is remarkable. Their endurance makes them more dangerous, not less. Velnus slammed his hand on the console. Enough! You want to talk about danger? 300 civilians are about to die because we're too afraid to help. That's the real danger. Counselor, not the humans. Our fear. Before Nethix could respond, new alarms sounded. Thermak looked at his screen, and his mandibles clicked in distress. Sir, we have incoming ships. Pirates. 3 vessels. Pirates? Velnus felt his blood run cold. Now? In a disaster zone? They're scavengers, probably hoping to loot the abandoned station. Thermak's voice turned grim. And they've detected the human ship. They're moving to intercept. 1. Inside the human vessel, Do-Yun saw the pirate ships on his security console. He recognized the configuration. Ralvian pirates. Not particularly dangerous to a military ship, but to a damaged civilian vessel full of refugees? Captain, we have company. Pirates. 3 ships. Taemin's jaw tightened. Our weapons? Minimal. A few defensive cannons. Against 3 ships? We can't win. Then we don't fight to win. We fight to buy time. Taemin opened a ship-wide channel. All crew, battle stations. Civilians, secure yourselves in the cargo bay. This is going to get rough. Jiho moved through the packed corridors, making sure the civilians were safe. Feli approached her, eyes wide with fear. You can't fight them. Your ship is damaged. You'll all be killed. Maybe. Jiho checked her medical kit, preparing for casualties. But they won't take you without a fight. That's a promise. The pirate ships opened fire. Their weapons were old, but effective. The human ship's shields, already weak from the rescue, flickered under the assault. Do-Yun fired back with their small defensive cannons. The shots were precise. Years of military training showed in every move he made. He wasn't trying to destroy the pirates. He was trying to make them think twice. One shot took out a pirate weapon system. Another damaged their engines. The pirates had expected easy prey. Instead, they found something that fought back. They're regrouping, Do-Yun reported, preparing for another pass. How long until the solar flare hits? Taemin asked. 4 minutes. And how long until we reach the safe zone? 8 minutes. If we survive the pirates, and if the ship holds together at current thrust. Taemin made a decision. Sunhee, emergency burn. Give me everything the thrusters have. Sir, that will. I know what it will do. Do it anyway. The ship accelerated hard. Too hard. Metal groaned. Warning lights flashed everywhere. In the engine room, Hyeri felt the ship straining. She knew what the captain was doing, pushing the ship past its limits. Betting everything on one desperate move. Minho, we need more power. Now. The young engineer looked terrified but determined, opening the direct feed to the reactor. Energy surged through the damaged systems. The FTL drive, broken and barely functional, began to hum. Not enough for faster-than-light travel, but enough for something else. Hyeri to bridge. I can give you a 5-second burst from the FTL drive. Just 5 seconds. Use it wisely. Taemin smiled. 5 seconds was enough. On my mark. 3, 2, 1. Mark. The burst of energy threw the ship forward like a rock from a sling. The sudden acceleration left the pirates behind, confused and scrambling. It also pushed the human vessel past the safe zone threshold, just as the solar flare hit. The wave of radiation and electromagnetic energy washed over the area. The pirate ships, caught in the open, went dark as their systems fried. They would survive, but their ships were dead in space. The human vessel, barely inside the safe zone, shuddered but held together. Damaged, limping, overloaded with refugees, but alive. In the engine room, Hyrie collapsed against a wall. Minho sat down hard, breathing heavily. They had done it. Somehow, impossibly, they had done it. On the observation vessel, Velnus watched in stunned silence. Counselor Nethix's hologram was still active, and for once, the senior official had nothing to say. "Did you see that?" Irix whispered. "They fought pirates, outran a solar flare, and saved everyone aboard. With a damaged ship and no sleep." Thermac was examining his readings. "Their stress hormone levels are off the charts. They should be non-functional. But they're still working, still moving, still thinking clearly." "Deathworlder evolution," Velnus said softly. "They're not just surviving. This is normal for them. This is what they evolved to do." Nethix finally found his voice. "That doesn't change anything. They're still dangerous." "What? The Fime." "You're right," Velnus said. "They are dangerous. To anyone who threatens the innocent. Anyone who preys on the weak." He looked directly at the counselor. "Tell me, Nethix, who should we fear more? The humans who risk everything to save lives? Or ourselves, too afraid to help when help is needed?" The hologram flickered and died. Nethix had disconnected. Velnus turned to his crew. "Continue monitoring the human vessel. I want to know everything. How they recover. How they treat their refugees. Everything." "Yes, sir." Thermac paused. "Commander, what you said to the counselor, that will have consequences." "I know." Velnus settled back in his chair. "But some things are worth the consequences. Like the truth." The safe zone gave them time. But not much. The human ship was falling apart, piece by piece. Hull breaches were sealed with emergency foam. Life support was running on backup systems, and 300 civilians needed food, water, and medical care that the small crew wasn't equipped to provide. Taman stood on the bridge, his eyes red from exhaustion. 40 hours without sleep. His body ached. His mind was foggy. But he couldn't rest. "Not yet. Status report," he said to Sunhee. "Hull integrity at 40%. We can't take another hit. The FTL drive is completely dead. Thrusters are barely functional." She looked at him with worried eyes. "Captain, we need help. We can't make it back to Earth like this. Nearest council station? 6 hours away. But they won't help us. We're quarantined." Taman nodded slowly. He had known this might happen. Humanity was alone out here. No allies. No support. Just themselves, against the universe. Then we fix what we can and pray it's enough. In the medical bay, Jisoo was treating her 50th patient. A young Vern with a broken arm. She set the bone gently. Her hands steady, despite her exhaustion. The child looked up at her with large, frightened eyes. "Are we going to die?" Jisoo smiled, the expression warm despite her tiredness. "Not if I can help it. You're safe now. But your ship is breaking. Ships can be fixed. What matters is that you're okay." She finished the bandage and patted the child's head. "Rest now. Everything will be fine." As the child's parent led them away, Jisoo's smile faded. She looked at her hands. They were shaking. Not from fear. From exhaustion and radiation exposure. She had been in the damaged sections too long during the rescue. Her readings were concerning, but there were still patients to treat. She could rest later. Maybe, in the engine room, Hyeri and Minho had been joined by Taewoo, a senior engineer who had been sleeping during the rescue. He was fresh and rested, which made him the most alert person on the engineering team. The reactor is unstable, Taewoo said, studying the readings. Too much stress from the emergency burn. We need to shut it down and let it cool. We can't, Hyori said. We need power for life support. 300 people will die without it. If we don't cool the reactor, it will melt down. Then everyone dies. Taewoo ran the numbers again. We need to reduce the load. Shut down non-essential systems. Everything is essential right now. Taewoo looked at her seriously. Then we need someone to go into the reactor chamber and manually stabilize the core. Adjust the control rods. Balance the reaction. Minho's face went pale. That's a radiation death trap. Whoever goes in there won't come out alive. I know. Taewoo was already putting on a radiation suit. That's why I'm going. Wait! Hyori grabbed his arm. You can't. There has to be another way. There isn't. You know that. You're too valuable. You can fix things, I can't. Minho is too young. His whole life ahead of him. Taewoo smiled, gently. I'm 50 years old. I've had a good life. If I can give 300 people a chance to have good lives too, that's a fair trade. Taewoo, no. This isn't a debate, Hyori. It's a fact. Someone has to do this. It should be me. Tell the captain I'm sorry about the mess I'm going to leave in the reactor room. Before anyone could stop him, Taewoo opened the reactor chamber and stepped inside. On the observation vessel, Velnus watched through their sensors as the human engineer entered the radioactive chamber. The readings were immediately fatal. No species in the council could survive more than seconds in that environment. What is he doing? Thermok asked in horror. Saving everyone else, Irix said quietly. His skin had turned a somber purple. They watched Taewoo work. His movements were calm and precise, despite the radiation cooking him from the inside out. He adjusted control rods, rebalanced the reaction, stabilized systems that were seconds from catastrophic failure. 3 minutes. That's how long he survived in there. 3 minutes that felt like hours. When he finally collapsed, the reactor was stable. The ship was safe. But Taewoo's life signs were fading fast. Jisoo reached him first. She dragged him out of the chamber, knowing it was already too late. His radiation exposure was beyond anything medicine could fix. She held his hand as the other crew members gathered around. Did it work? Taewoo asked, his voice weak. It worked, Hyori said, tears streaming down her face. The reactor is stable. Everyone is safe. Good. Taewoo smiled. That's good. Tell my wife. Tell her I was thinking about her. Tell her it didn't hurt. It was a lie. They all knew it was a lie. But sometimes, lies were kinder than truth. Taewoo died 30 seconds later. Jisoo closed his eyes gently. The crew stood in silence. 300 lives saved. 1 life lost. The mathematics were cold and logical. But mathematics didn't capture the weight of grief. Taemin spoke first. His voice was steady, but his eyes were wet. Taewoo gave us a gift. Time. Safety. A chance. We honor that gift by finishing what we started. We get these people home. All of them. The crew nodded. There would be time to mourn later. Right now, they had work to do. On the harmonious dawn, Velnus couldn't speak. He had watched many things in his long career. Battles, disasters, evacuations. But he had never seen anything like this. They're not breaking down, Thermok observed. One of them died. And they're not falling apart. How? Deathworlder psychology, Irix explained. They evolved with high mortality rates. Death was common. They learned to process grief while still functioning. To honor the dead by continuing the mission. That's... Thermok struggled for words. That's both terrible and admirable. A new hologram appeared on the bridge. Grand Arbiter Queloth, the supreme leader of the Galactic Council. Her crystalline form glowed with authority. "Commander Velnus, I have been informed of your protocol violations." "Yes, Arbiter. I take full responsibility. I'm sure you do. However, before I pass judgment, I want your full report. What exactly have you observed about these humans?" Velnus took a breath. "They are stronger than we thought. More resilient, but also more compassionate. They saved 300 Council civilians at great personal cost. One of them just died to keep the others safe. And the survivors are continuing their mission despite grief and exhaustion. Are they a threat to the Council?" "Yes," Velnus said honestly. "They are physically capable of great violence, but they are also capable of great sacrifice. The question isn't whether they're dangerous. Everything is dangerous. The question is, what kind of dangerous are they?" Quiloth was silent for a long moment. "Continue your observation, Commander. Document everything. The Council will need complete information before we decide how to proceed. And if I've already made contact, then you've simply accelerated the inevitable. Humanity was always going to reach this point. Better that we understand them before formal contact than after." The Arbiter's form shifted colors, a sign of deep thought. Perhaps it's time the Council learned something from a Deathworld species. Perhaps we've been safe for too long. The hologram faded. Irix looked at Velnus with surprise. "She didn't punish you. Not yet, anyway." Velnus turned back to the screen showing the human ship. "But she's right. The Council has been safe and comfortable for thousands of years. Maybe we've forgotten what it means to struggle. To sacrifice. To choose the hard right over the easy wrong. The humans can teach us that?" Velnus watched Hyeri and Minho working on repairs, their faces set with determination despite their loss. He watched Jisoo returning to treat patients even though she was clearly ill. He watched Taemin making decisions that would save lives while destroying his ship. "Yes," he said finally, "I think they can." The human ship reached the Council station 3 days later. It was barely flying. Hull plates were missing. One thruster was completely dead. The crew looked like ghosts, pale and exhausted, but all 300 civilians were alive and safe. Station Administrator Kelvin, a cautious bureaucrat, stood at the docking port and didn't know what to do. The protocols were clear. Quarantined species were not allowed contact, but 300 Council citizens were aboard that wreck. Citizens who should have been dead, but weren't, because humans had saved them. "Let them dock," he finally decided. "We'll sort out the protocols later." The reunions were emotional. Families thought lost forever were returned. Feli embraced her children, tears streaming down her face. She found Taemin in the chaos and bowed deeply. "Thank you. Words are not enough, but thank you." Taemin, so tired he could barely stand, managed a smile. "Just doing what needed doing." "Why? You barely knew us. Your species isn't even part of the Council. Does that matter? You were in trouble. We could help. That's all the reason we needed." "Apes. Do. Feli straightened. "Then I will make sure the Council knows what you did, what you risked, what you lost." Her voice turned fierce. "You will not be forgotten." Within hours, the story spread through the Council networks. The impossible rescue, the fight with pirates, the engineer who died to save strangers. Within days, every member species knew the name humanity. The reactions were mixed. Some saw heroes, others saw threats, but no one could deny what had happened. Grand Arbiter Quiloth called an emergency session. The Council chamber was packed with representatives from hundreds of worlds. All of them wanted to discuss the human question. Ambassador Seojin stood in the center of the chamber. She was Earth's first representative to the Council, chosen because she was diplomatic, but honest. She wore simple clothes, no fancy robes or ceremonial armor, just a human standing before the galaxy. "Members of the Council," she began. "I understand your concern. Humanity is new, unknown, different. We come from a world you call a death world, where life is hard and danger is constant. Exactly our concern, Counselor Nethix interrupted. Violence is in your nature. How can we trust you won't turn that violence against us? Violence is in every species' nature, Sojin replied calmly. You all evolved from something. Predators or prey, or both. The question isn't whether we're capable of violence. The question is what we choose to do with that capability. Pretty words. But actions matter more. I agree. So let's talk about actions. Sojin pulled up a hologram showing the rescue. 3 humans received a distress call. They could have ignored it. Onyx C. We're in Happen 40. Onyx Bexes. It wasn't their responsibility. They weren't council members. The people in danger weren't their species. The hologram showed Taemin flying through the debris field. Doyun carrying civilians through radiation zones. Jiho treating injuries without rest. 1717. But they didn't ignore it. They risked their lives. One of them gave his life. Why? Because someone needed help. That's the human way. That's the human way. Or it was a clever ploy to gain our trust, Nethix argued. Dr. Borum stepped forward. She was a xenobiologist who had studied human evolution for years. May I address that concern, Counselor? Queloth nodded permission. Counselor Nethix suggests humans acted to manipulate you. But that doesn't match our evolutionary history. Borum brought up data on human development. Humans evolved as social creatures. On Earth, isolation meant death. Cooperation meant survival. We learned to care for our sick and injured, to share resources, to protect each other. Many species learned cooperation, someone called out. Yes. But humans took it further. We extended cooperation beyond our family groups, beyond our tribes. We developed empathy for strangers, for other species, even for our food animals. Borum smiled. We domesticated wolves into dogs not because we needed them, but because we befriended them. That's very human. You also have wars, conflicts, violence between your own people. We do, Sojin admitted. We're not perfect. We fight, we make mistakes, but we also learn. We grow. And when someone needs help, even our enemies, we help. That's also very human. The chamber was quiet. Then Feli stood up. The station commander had been allowed to address the council as a witness. I would like to speak if I may. Please, Queloth said. I was dead. My entire station was dead. We had accepted it, made peace with it. Feli's voice was strong. Then, 3 humans arrived. They flew through hell itself to reach us. They carried my people to safety with their own hands. They fought pirates to protect us. One of them died to keep us alive. She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of council members. You ask if humans are dangerous? Yes. They are very dangerous. But they are dangerous to those who prey on the weak, those who hurt the innocent. If that makes them a threat to you, then perhaps you should examine yourself. The words hung in the air like a challenge. Queloth spoke. We will now vote on the human question. Should humanity be granted provisional council membership? Where the vote was close. Fear versus hope. Caution versus courage. In the end, hope won by a narrow margin. Humanity is granted provisional membership. Restrictions will remain in place. Earth will be monitored. But humans may travel, council space, and participate in council affairs. Queloth looked directly at Sojin. Welcome to the galactic community, Ambassador. Try not to prove our doubters right. Sojin bowed. We'll do our best. That's all anyone can promise. Later, on the observation vessel, Velnus watched the council proceedings with satisfaction. His career might never recover from his protocol violations, but he didn't care. He had done the right thing. "Commander," Thermac said, "the human crew is requesting permission to visit our ship. Captain Taman wants to meet us." "Really?" Velnus felt a strange nervousness. "Let them come." An hour later, Taman, Hyeri, Doyun, Jisoo, and Sunhee stood on the bridge of the Harmonious Dawn. They looked around with curiosity and wonder. "So you're the ones who tried to warn us," Taman said. "We thought you were going to die," Velnus admitted. "So did we, honestly." Taman grinned. "But someone had to try. Why? That's what I still don't understand. Why risk so much?" Taman thought about it. "On Earth, we have a saying, if not me, then who? If not now, then when? Someone had to help. We were there. We had the ability. So, it became our responsibility. That's a dangerous philosophy, maybe. But it's ours." Hyeri smiled. "Besides, life is dangerous. We just choose to do something useful with the danger." Irix approached them, his skin a friendly blue. "Would you be willing to let us visit Earth? To study your world and your people?" The humans looked at each other. Sunhee spoke up. "Just remember, everything on Earth will try to kill you. Predators, plants, microorganisms, weather, the planet itself. We've read the reports," Thermac said nervously. "The reports don't capture it," Doyun added with a smile. "But don't worry. We'll keep you safe. That's what we do." Velnus felt something he hadn't felt in years. Excitement. The galaxy had been safe and predictable for so long. Humans were neither safe nor predictable. They were challenging, surprising, inspiring. "I think," he said slowly, "humanity is going to change the Council. For the better. Or we'll just scare everyone." Jisoo joked. "Maybe both." Velnus extended his hand in the human gesture of friendship. "Welcome to the stars, humans. Try not to save everyone you meet. Some of us need to learn to save ourselves." Taman shook his hand. "No promises, but we'll try." As the humans left, returning to their wrecked ship that they would somehow fly home, Velnus turned to his crew. "Log everything. Every interaction. Every observation. The Council needs to understand what we've learned here." "What have we learned, sir?" Irix asked. "That strength without compassion is cruelty. But compassion without strength is helpless. Humans have both. They're dangerous and kind, violent and gentle, reckless and careful." Velnus smiled. "They're exactly what the galaxy needs. Even if we don't know it yet." Far below, on the blue planet called Earth, humanity looked up at the stars. They had been alone for so long. Now, they knew they weren't alone anymore. And the galaxy, comfortable in its safety for thousands of years, was about to discover what it meant when Deathworlders decided to help. The universe would never be the same, and perhaps that was exactly what it needed.